Welcome to Library Trust YouTube channel. Today's class I'll be teaching us how to pad our bustier. Okay, so I've been getting this request a lot, so I'm just going to be using the 6 pieces pattern that I have already drafted to teach us. So it's the same method if you are using maybe a shoulder dart bustier or whatever bustier, or even an off shoulder. So there are different ways you can actually pad your bustier. It depends on which one that you prefer, but I'll be showing us the one that I usually use, and I think it gives better fitting and it will not make the chest area to be too heavy. So I have this now as my side front and this as my center front, and this line is my nipple, is my bust point line, this is my under bust line, and this is my chest line, and here also this is my, so I'm going to be replicating my chest line, my bust point line, okay, because that line is actually very important on my center front here also. So I can just mark it. The bust point that I worked with here is 10 inches, so I'm just going to be marking the 10 inches here, and then I'll make it into a straight line. So I'm using this yellow chalk because I already have blue here, so it can be different. So now I'll keep the center front aside and work on this. So the first thing you need to note is the difference between the bust point and the under bust, and here I have a difference of 4 inches. So that 4 inches here, I'm going to be using it to create like a semicircle. And what do I do here on this dart line here on this outer part? I'm going to be placing my tape rule, and then I'm going to measure 4 inches round it like this, so to form like a semicircle. Like I said, there are several ways you can use to do this, but I prefer this method. I like to use this method, and I feel this gives me more fitting. So on the upper part also, I'm going to be going up from my bust point area by 4 inches like that, and then I'm going to connect everything together to form like a semicircle. So I'm going to be cutting my bustier like this. Also on the center front area, from my bust point area, I'm going to be going by 4 inches round like this. 4 inches. 4 inches. I'm using 4 inches because the difference between my under bust and my bust point measurement is 4 inches. If yours is 3 inches, you use that. If yours is 3.5, if it's 2 inches, or as the case may be, this 4 inches is not static. So now I have this now, and then I'm going to connect this now to form like a semicircle like this, and then I'm going to be cutting my bustier, my pad around this area. Okay, I hope you understand that it's quite simple. So another method we can use to cut it is to use the full padding method, which means that you're just going to be cutting your pad around this area. So from your under bust here, you're going to cut it full here and maybe around or even up to the armhole area. So you're going to be placing your bust pad on it like this, and you trace this out, and then you cut it in full, in which your wadding or your hairstay or gum stay or whatever it is you're using to pad is going to cover this entire area. And also for the center front, you just note your under bust like this, and then this upper part you notice also. So your padding that you're going to be using to pad this is going to cover this entire area. You just trace this out and then you cut this. So it depends on whichever one you want. So now I'll be cutting this on my gum stay, and to cut it now, remember we're cutting for 2, that's 2 side front and 2 side back. I'm going to be putting this on fold now, and then I'm going to be placing my pattern on it like this. Okay, so after placing my pattern on it, I don't want to waste it, so I'm just going to be shifting this down. I'll take my scissors, and then I'm going to be tracing out this shape that I have. Okay, so I have this shape now. I'm going to be tracing it out, and here I'm going to be noting my center, my midpoint, which is my bust point measurements. So here I'm noting my bust point. So after noting it there now, I'm just going to take my tape rule the same way I did for that I'm going to be connecting it. So I just noted it on the pattern so that we will see how the dart will go. Okay, I'm just cutting this off now. I'm going to be measuring 4 inches around the bust point measurement that I have. So my 4 inches is from here like this, and then I'm going to be connecting it, and then here I'm going to continue measuring the 4 inches, and then I'm going to make it into a semicircle, and then I'll cut this out. Okay, so you can pad with whatever it is that you want. If you don't mind it being strong, you can even use hard wording to pad it. So I have it for each of them, so you can note this area as your center front part because they may look similar. So the next thing now is just to bring in your fabric now, and then you just take the one that corresponds. That's why I said you need to knot it. If you check it, there is a side that is a bit shiny. That is where the gum is. So that is the shiny part, is what you'll be using against your fabric like this, and then you're just going to place it like this. You can see that it just fits right into the markings that we have before. You're going to place it like this, and then you can use your iron to iron it. So if you are using maybe a gum stay or an hair stay that is not so strong, you can actually double this so that it can give that area enough padding for you. So you're going to arrange it like this and iron it, and then on the other side also, which is the second, remember we have 2 sides for our front. On the second one also, you're going to take the second one, look for where you knot it as the back, and then the shiny part, and then you place it against it like this also, and you can see how it also fits right into it. So the same thing is what we're going to be doing for the front. You're also going to be putting your fabric on fold like this, your gum stay on fold like I did, and then you place your pattern on it like this. So after placing your pattern, you take your scissors now and cut out that shape. Okay, so after cutting out this shape, I'm stopping at my under bust area. Then I'm going to be noting where my nipple point is. Okay, that's my bust point. Then on that mark now, I'm just going to be marking the 4 inches around it, just like I did for the side. So here now I'm going to be marking 4 inches around like that to form my semicircle. And like I said, you can also make it full. It doesn't have to be a semicircle, so you can do the 2 methods and see the one that works best for you. But like I said, I think I like this, so I just thought to teach us this method. So you keep measuring your 4 inches like that, and then once you have it measured, you're going to be connecting it, and then we are going to cut it out. So we have 2 of this also for each side of the bust. Remember, we have 2 breasts. So I'll be cutting this out now, and then I'll place it on my pattern. Okay, so this is our pattern and these are our 2. So you look for that shiny part again, and then you're just going to be placing it on your pattern like this. And as you can see also, just like the side fronts, it just sits right into it. So now you take it to your ironing table and give it a good press. This is going to gum to it, then you sew it together. I'm on the machine now, and to sew it, I'm just going to be taking them together like this. And then because of the bustier part, you need to sew it very slowly so that you don't make mistakes, especially for beginners. I'm using a yellow thread so that we can see my seam line, and you have to consistent with the seam allowance that you're working with. So if you want to work with ½ inch, you make sure that you'll be sewing with ½ inch throughout. And if you are working with quarter of an inch, you make sure you sew with quarter of an inch throughout, and you don't drag it. You just let it follow its own course. So you keep sewing it like that, and when you get to the bustier part of the tutorial of the sewing, you keep taking it slowly. Okay, I'm already on the under bust now, so I'll keep sewing it slowly, and then I'll be moving it with my hand like this. Okay, so you raise your needle up, arrange it well, and then you continue to sew. So the logic is just that Do not rush it. Once you don't rush it, you're not going to be making any mistake. Okay, you don't have to be rushing. Just take it slowly and then you sew. You can see how I'm taking it one at a time, and then I'm sewing it. So I've left the bustier part now, and then I've completely sewn this. So I'm going to reverse this now, and then I'm going to bring it down. Then you're going to be notching it on this area so that it can relax well, and then you're going to be bringing it out. Okay, so you can see the curve that we have there. Okay, so I'll still take this to the mannequin so that we can see it well. I'm going to be notching this, then you open your seams and you iron it well so that you can have a very smooth curve like what I am having here. You can see it's really lovely. So I'll take it to the mannequin now so that we can see what it looks like. Okay, so this is the bustier on the mannequin, and you can see that it is looking well padded. Okay, so I decided to use a contrasting thread so that we can see what I did, but if you are doing yours, just use a matching thread. You can see it's very simple to pad your bustier, and you have different methods of padding it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you enjoyed this, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and I'll see you